100% Chelsea. Hello everyone, welcome to a transfer video where we're going to be discussing loads of rumours. I've got Andy Brassell with me. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. And yeah, we got 5 names to talk about and possibly more afterwards. But these linked players who are quite interesting. I don't know about you. Some I think might have the chance to happen, some possibly not, but we'll discuss them anyway. First name to discuss, Pato. Now he's on the agenda. What do you think of Pato? Do you think he'll fit into Chelsea's system?
Theoretically, yes, and it's obviously the most likely, is the closest to happening.
Yeah.
But I think there's a few things you have to bear in mind. One is been out of European football for really quite a long time now. Secondly, Corinthians, his club, he's been on loan at Sao Paulo for the last couple of years, have been trying to sell him to everyone. So they're very, very keen to get rid of his wages, which are very high for Brazilian football. When he first came to Milan, he was fantastic. You know, he looked like he was going to be the best striker in European football. And you know, he was linked with some huge moves as they started to scale down their ambitions, and Berlusconi started to cut back. I think he's interesting because of his pace, which is, even though he's 26, you know, he has taken some like nasty injuries. So there's a little bit of an edge off that. On the other hand, he's muscled up a little bit. He's scored a lot of goals in the Brazilian Championship over the last couple of years, but most of those have been from a wide position, which I think is quite interesting, because you wonder how you maybe fit him and even Willian in the same team. I don't see him going straight into the 11. I think, you know, you're looking at someone who's maybe back up to Diego Costa. Is he a similar sort of player to Diego Costa? No. So, I mean, on a loan deal for 6 months, you know, maybe you've got something to work with. There's no doubt there's raw talent, but getting him to the right level in 6 months, if that's even possible again, I think is a huge ask.
It is. And what I'm worried about anyway is that we might just see another Falcao situation. I don't know about you, but Falcao in the end didn't work out. Torres, when we bought him 50 million, he had good moments, but overall it didn't work out. I don't know, could this just be another one of those cases?
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit sorry for Falcao, and I have some sympathy with his point of view that he needs to play more to get rhythm. I think that's absolutely right. The fact is, though, he's never going to get that at Chelsea. Perhaps the most frustrating thing from a neutral point of view is the fact that you know, when it wasn't working for Mourinho in autumn, you wondered how he might change it up. Arguably, he never did enough. I wondered if he might try Diego Costa and Falcao together, because, you know, they worked together very, very well at Atletico for a while. Admittedly, then, you know, there was a difference in the hierarchy, because you know, Falcao was the senior partner and Costa was very much the up and comer. But, you know, I think that would have been an interesting little thing to try out. He can play up front on his own, Falcao, which is, I think, somewhere where maybe he's a little bit ahead of Pato. I think, having played so much football wide in recent seasons, it could be tricky for him just to play as a central striker on his own.
Yeah, well, we will go more in depth about Pato over on the Ball Street channel, where we'll have a pitch out and we'll really go in depth, proper analysis. Check out the link in the description and subscribe to Ball Street. Next player on the agenda that I want to talk about, John Stones. He's been linked with Chelsea for a while now, and his price tag just seems to be going up and up and up. Now there's even people talking about 40, 50 million for John Stones. Is he worth that? Would you go for John Stones for that amount of money?
I think worth is a bit of an abstract concept in the modern Premier League. I think you just have to judge, can you afford it and how much do you need him? I think the answers are yes, and they do need him. I think, you know, at the start of the season, people were wondering if he came across to Chelsea, would he get a game? Well, I think the last 6 months have answered that, and I think it's a big problem for Chelsea in terms of getting the ball out of defence at the moment, especially with Matic's dip in form. You know, he was the guy who not only made the tackles in front of the back four, but, you know, you could tell he played as a number 10 for Vitesse, the way he brought the ball out. I think the fact that Stones could pass out from the back, that could bring out the ball from the back, would be absolutely invaluable to Chelsea. The fact that he's someone you can grow with and could maybe be a cornerstone for the next 10 years. Whether you can make it happen in January, I think, is difficult. But his value's only going to go up. I think from here.
Yeah. To be honest, I think John Stones, he's a good defender. But a question I want to ask is, do you think that price tag comes with the fact that he's English?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I think the fact that he's English and the fact that, which matters for obviously Champions League quotas, and the fact that it's a deal between 2 Premier League clubs is, something that makes it, hugely expensive. I think when you cast your mind back to Tevez and Mascherano coming to West Ham all those years ago, people thought it was a weird thing, but Kia Joorabchian, their agent, knew that the way you make the most money is shifting players between Premier League clubs, and that's something that still holds true now. So that's the way it is, and he's going to cost. But if they feel they need him, and I understand why they do, then just pay it.
Do you see it happening?
Not in January. In summer, definitely.
Okay, brilliant. And next name, Alex Teixeira of Shakhtar Donetsk. Now he's a quality attacking midfielder.
Yeah, he is.
Probably about 25 million price tag or so, 25, 30 million.
Keep going.
Keep going. Well, Liverpool are interested now and they've come into the fold. Would he be a good fit for Chelsea?
I think he'd be a better fit for Chelsea than Liverpool, actually. And part of the reason that makes me say that is the dip of Eden Hazard. And whether Hazard stays or not, and quite frankly, if they could get the figures being mentioned by, say, Real Madrid, I'd be quite tempted to take it, especially on the back of this season's production. I say that as someone who's a huge Hazard fan and has been ever since he came onto the scene at Lille when he was 16 and looked the real deal straight away. I think Teixeira's directness and intelligence, and the fact that he's just in the absolute peak of his form. He's someone who's improved exponentially over the last couple of seasons. He's someone who could be used as a second striker. He could be used as a 10. He could be used on either side. I think you could see him left cutting in and scoring goals. And his pace, those are all things that I think would really, really suit the way Chelsea play. And you're looking at a guy who scored 22 goals in 15 Ukrainian Premier League games this season. Yeah. It's extraordinary. People worried for them about Luis Adriano going last summer, about Douglas Costa going. The guy they needed to keep hold of, and they knew it was Teixeira. And he always turns up in the big games as well. He's scored Champions League goals against Real Madrid this season. He nearly bent that game to his will when they were 4-0 down. In the biggest game in Ukraine, the Ukrainian Classico, he was brilliant in the away game at Dynamo Kiev, which allowed them to wrest the title back in their grasp and gave Dynamo their first domestic defeat in nearly 2 years. He is someone who's mentally tough. He can deal with the step up. So as well as stylistically fit in Chelsea, as well as having the technical ability to make a huge impact in the Premier League, I feel he did that pretty quickly.
And to be honest, I think he'd be healthy competition, because at the moment I feel that's what we need, especially in that number 10 role or out on the wings. You've got Oscar, possibly Fabregas, and apart from that, no one else. But I think that's healthy competition. That's what we need. Yeah,
I think that's right, and you just need that little bit of extra incision and freshness that they've sort of lacked in the final third this season. I mean, this deal will be expensive. There's no getting around it. But the problem is we keep coming back to it. Apart from Pato, and he will cost a lot in wages. Anyone in Chelsea is going to buy is going to be ruinously expensive, because they're pitching it. They've dipped this season, but basically you're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yeah. And if you want to improve a team like that, you can't buy someone for 2 or 3 million, as the Pap Djilobodji deal proved. He's someone who could be a good player for someone else, but he's not Chelsea standards. So, unless you want to stand still or go backwards, you've got to spend money, and that's going to be the case.
Definitely. Name number 4, Berahino. Now, he's a young footballer and a lot of potential, but he's had a lot of slack recently, a lot of press and a lot of the headlines, especially with what happened with the whole Tottenham transfer saga. Is he someone that you feel can fit into Chelsea's system, especially him at a young age?
I like him. Is he good enough for Chelsea? I'm not convinced. Like I said, we're talking about elite level players.
Yeah.
When we're talking about Chelsea, we're not talking about good players. Is he an elite level player? No. Can he become an elite level player? I really have my doubts about that. There's a lot to like about him. Tottenham's model of getting young players in, working with them intensely to bring them towards that level, fair enough. But again, we're talking about a deal between two Premier League clubs, whether we're talking about Chelsea or Tottenham, and that means he's going to cost more than he's worth. I think if Chelsea are talking about bringing someone in January, you need a quick fix. I don't think he's that. Like I said, I think he's someone you need to work with, and I don't reckon he can make enough of an improvement to Chelsea to make it a justifiable January deal, enough of an immediate improvement to Chelsea to make it a justifiable January deal.
That's true, I completely agree. But his price tag as well, I think that's a bit too excessive. 25 or 30 million.
Yeah, it is.
Too much.
And that's the problem. Searching for bargains in January is tough. Yeah. They are out there. But basically you're looking for players whose clubs desperately need money, who have fallen out with their clubs, who are coming back from injury, who've are out of the team for whatever reason. So you have to be a little bit creative, I think.
Name number 5, Lavezzi. Now, on here it's been a bit of a split decision, especially with the viewers on here. Some saying he's hit 30, he's going to start dipping. And there's others who are saying he's going to just keep promising, he's got the talent, and for the next 2 or 3 years he'd offer a lot for Chelsea. What's your stance on Lavezzi? How do you think he'd fit in?
I'd take him all day long. There's no doubt about it. Of the realistic names that have been mentioned for Chelsea in that area of need this winter, it has to be Lavezzi. I think 6 months of contract left. You can talk about his wages. Whoever Chelsea are going to buy is going to cost a lot in wages. I think they're one of the few clubs who could absorb that. There will be a transfer fee involved as well, which would put some people off. But I think with his deal running down, he wouldn't cost the same as, I think you're looking at about 10 million euros, so roughly about £7 million, which is quite something you can stomach. Yeah. I think you could talk about his age, but that ignores the fact that he's fitter than he was when he was 25. Playing in France has done wonders for him in terms of getting him in a position where he could cope with the Premier League, because it's a physically tougher league than a lot in Europe. You get a lot of kicks and you have to do a lot of running, and that's something that maybe he struggled with when he initially arrived in France. But he's really worked on his stamina. He used to fade 60-65 minutes into games, not anymore. And of course he's not started that many games this season, so he'd be nice and fresh as well. You can play him right, you can play him left, you can play him in a central area, nice low centre of gravity, plenty of pace still, and can score goals. For me, it's the most obvious choice.
Complete player, really.
Yeah, I really think so. And any other team but Paris Saint-Germain, you bear in mind the players who are out of that team, the quality of the players who are out of that team. Lavezzi, Lucas Moura, it's no reflection on his quality or his current state that he can't get into that 11 on a regular basis. And I'll go get him.
Well, with his contract running out, do you think Chelsea should pounce for him now, this window, or wait till summer once his contract is pretty much over?
Well, I think for the sake of an extra couple of minutes, what do we say? Maybe 7 million. Yeah. Just get him now. I think the fact is that he is someone who would be ready to make an immediate impact, and that is worth it for the rest of the season. To get Chelsea in a good spot and to edge them firmly up back into the top half. Yeah.
Well, those have been your rumours. I think, to be honest, Lavezzi is a good shout. I don't know about you guys. Let us know in the comment section below, what do you feel about these names that we've mentioned? Do you think these players would be a good fit at Chelsea? And especially someone like Pato, who looks like might happen on a loan deal. Lavezzi is a great shout. Do you think it's a good deal? Let us know. But thank you, Andy, for coming
Pleasure.
on, much appreciated. Be sure to check us out over on the Ball Street channel. Link is in the description, where we'll be discussing these rumours even further and how they'd fit into the Chelsea team with a nice pitch to be able to really analyse things.
I'll get my boots on.
Yeah. But make sure you head there, and be sure to check out Transfer Deadline Day over on Ball Street, where all the action on Transfer Deadline Day live will be over on that channel. You'll be hearing all the latest rumours that are coming in on that day, all the latest deals, all the latest signings. Be sure to catch that live over on Ball Street. So head over there, subscribe, and you'll also have a chance to win a Chelsea shirt. Be sure to go to the video where us are going to be talking about these transfer rumours, and just comment that 100% Chelsea sent you there, and you can have a chance to win a Chelsea shirt. But make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching. It's been 100% Chelsea. Check out the social media links in the description, and we'll see you really, really soon.
A lot of people think he'll be back up to Diego Costa, but in fact, Patel, who's coming over, owned by Corinthians, but been on loan for Sao Paulo.